Mm. Then you have to add salt in it. It makes it.
Hey guys, I just wanted to comment on a post that I saw on World Carnivore Tribe. The guy just said basically that somebody told him that he was very selfish for being on a carnivore diet and consuming all of that meat. Again, I've done a previous, I think, a video called like, "Is it ethical to eat meat or to eat animals or something like that?" So I'll say it again. If we could get every essential micro and macronutrient from only plant sources, then I would agree that it's selfish and it's even cruel to eat animal products, meat included. So the unfortunate reality of things is that plants are lacking many micronutrients that the body requires to be optimal, as well as when we're looking at the macronutrients, they're far inferior. Soya probably has the best protein amino acid profile to be considered complete, yet that's because it contains all of the essential amino acids. But even soya is very low in certain amino acids, so it's a inferior protein source, as well as the high estrogen levels in soya and many other plants. The fats that come from the plant kingdom are mainly what we find in the seed oils, the corn oil, the rapeseed oils. So all of these seed oils that could be considered, are considered plant fats, are basically very high in omega-6. So they're all polyunsaturated and they're omega-6. You might have coconut that has saturated fat. But just to say overall, it's very important to have the fats from animal sources. The omega-3 content in the form of ALA that is considered an omega-3 fat. I've explained many times in previous videos that the conversion of the plant omega-3 into the needed form that the body can use of DHA and EPA is pathetic. It's somewhere around 6% for, I'm not sure if it's EPA, I think it's the DHA is 6% and the EPA is 3.8. That's when you're consuming this form of ALA, omega-3 in plants with saturated fats. And as we know, most of these people that are advocates of plant-based diets are fat phobic. When we're getting into the minerals, it's just a fact that iron in certain people, they start having iron deficiency issues with that. Zinc also is a big one that often becomes deficient in many people. When they state in the plant minerals that it has all these minerals and all those minerals, they're often in a form that the body can't absorb. So you might have zinc, but if it's like zinc oxalate or something like that, then they consider it on the nutritional facts that these minerals are present. But there's minerals in rocks, and we can't get those minerals and use them in our body. Not comparing necessarily them to rocks, but just the understanding that it can be a pretty profound misconception when you're looking at nutritional facts and what they contain. Not to mention that the animal sources, meat, red meat, for example, you could be just consuming red meat and it literally has every essential thing that your body needs to thrive, right down to vitamin C. Yet you'll never see the labels on meat with all of the mineral content that is truly in the meat, all of the vitamins. And again, there's these misconceptions based on epidemiological studies that it causes colorectal cancer, and obviously the false claim that saturated fat and fat in general is bad and leads to heart disease. These are all lies and misconceptions, or based on what we call epidemiological studies. So there's a gentleman in the carnivore, um, it's called the World Carnivore Clan, no, World Carnivore Tribe, and it's on Facebook that you can join if you're into the carnivore diet and you want to be a member. And that's basically it. Somebody was saying like it's selfish, it's egotistical to eat meat. So in my opinion, and I've shared this in previous videos, that because we're unable to get these essential things in plants, then it's quite justifiable to eat a human appropriate diet that is high in animal products. There's nothing wrong with adding plants to your diet, but those can't be the primary source of nutrients to allow your body to be optimal. Often when we're talking about whether it causes deficiencies or not. Let's take into account also that, is it even close to optimal levels? Because we don't want to just be, not deficient. We want to have an ample amount of these nutrients, not to mention the fat soluble vitamins that have to be ingested with fat sources to be absorbed in the body to be, truly optimal. If we're unable to do this with plants, and therefore we're forced to go after animal sources of nutrition, then it's actually cruel against humans to not have them and to be lied to so that they cannot attain optimal levels of health. When you're deficient and you're not eating human appropriate diets, your immune system is severely restricted and reduced. There's a fact that carbohydrates are not essential. The body can live completely without it, as the ketogenic community has proven, and the carnivore community as well has been proving that we don't need carbohydrates. We don't even need carbohydrates, as Sean Baker often shows, and this guy's a beast on a totally, carnivore diet. We do not need carbohydrates to produce protein synthesis, to produce muscles. It is good for rapid recovery of glycogen stores. However, glycogen stores are still recovered through the process of gluconeogenesis that your body produces if you have proteins and fats. What is actually essential? The issue with animal agriculture at the moment is that big corporations are making it unethical. But that doesn't mean if there's a reformation and animal agriculture is reformed, where we're taking advantage of the ruminant animals and we're putting them out to pasture so that they can replenish the soils, which is, ruminant animals are essential for adding the health of the survival, really, of the topsoil, which is a complex matrix of nutrients, fungi, bacteria that the plant agriculture, or plants in general, require at the moment, because we're not taking advantage of pasturing these animals, especially in the West, and we're relying on all sorts of synthetic and petroleum-based chemicals, which we grow our plant food on, which I guess that is what we consider in this society to be quite healthy. If there'd be a huge reformation and the whole agricultural system is reformed, where farmers are not only plant agriculture or livestock, that there's a mix of it, so that the land that the farmers own, there would be seasons or years where the ruminant animals, the cows, the goats, any other source of nutrition that is an animal, is allowed to pasture on these lands, replenishing with their poop and what they do on the land as a group, replenish that soil for a couple of years, while another area of the land is used for plant agriculture. Adding inside of the plant and the animal agriculture, we could also have lumber agriculture, because the trees planted also on the land of these farms would also hold in all of the topsoil and the liquid, the amount of water that land can sustain. The issue is that when you're putting perennials like corn and stuff like that, the roots are just pretty straight down. They just suck out nutrients, and nothing's being put back. So the loop is not put back, which nature, naturally has. The CO2 emissions that are a concern. Really, it's what we are taking out of the soil, out of the ground, out of the earth, which is petroleum products. Those are sequestered deep in the earth, and we're using that as energy, and that is being CO2 and other greenhouse gas emissions being added. The cows, any CO2 that humans and cows are excreting into the atmosphere is a cyclical chain that is necessary, because obviously all of the animals and mammals are excreting CO2, requiring oxygen, and this is what is supposed to be giving back to the plant kingdom, which requires the CO2. So this is a system that is continually recycling the same CO2 and oxygen in a way. We're not adding. So blaming cows on or any animal agriculture, or humans for that matter, like Bill Gates likes to do, is completely ridiculous. That we have to start worrying about our emissions of CO2. So if we look at it that way, what makes animal agriculture unethical is the Tyson and Cargill, these huge corporations that are mass producing these cows and putting them in feedlots, and that these animals are basically caged and unable to roam outside. That's not a good life for them. The actual killing of the animal, if done rapidly, is not really what is unethical. It's the life that you give them while we are raising them. Shepherding on pastures. The shepherd, yes, will eat that animal, but it also makes sure that the animal has a natural habitat, that they are drinking water, that they don't have to search for food, and that they're not getting ripped apart by wolves and predators. That's what shepherding on the pasture is. That's what basically rural farming happened. Everyone dies. These animals, if they're in the wild, would be getting eaten, just alive and teared apart by predators, which is much more painful than having a bolt gun that knocks you out, or having like religious people used to do, slaughtering the carotid, where they pass out with a sharp blade. So yes, it's unethical, but that doesn't mean meaning like the feedlots and the large corporation and livestock being produced in the way it's being produced. Yes, that is unethical, but that doesn't mean that meat itself is unethical. It's just that the real farmers are being pushed out of business as this pandemic, is very, it's basically going to put more strain on the meat industry, which, is very suspect. That, this pandemic is great for large corporations, that it's making the blue-collar workers poor and more dependent on government, and putting out the already struggling, more natural rural farming. So there is definitely a possibility to reform animal agriculture and incorporate it with plant. To say that plant agriculture is completely innocent is ridiculous. Just like the cows take up space for farming, look around. Look at the fields and fields of soy and corn and peas and stuff like that. These also are being cut down, are removing the biodiversity, are removing from the land its ability to hold moisture, and causing, a large amount of chemicals, pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, all sorts of chemicals are being put on these so-called
What up, guys? That was an old video from 2 years ago. All right, let's look at some of the comments. Hey, Margaret, Matt, Leah, G Legend, Josiah, my son. I think that's it. Cool. It's like -5 degrees Fahrenheit. That's -21 degrees Celsius. Been 2 days really cold. It's supposed to heat up soon enough. Freaking cold. I literally went to bed like this. Toque, that, covers. It's freaking crazy cold. All right, so let's look at some of the pertinent. What up? What about it? Oh, it broke. Yeah.
It's the carnivore muscles.
Yes, it's the carnivore muscles. All right, so so I was just playing an older video just to wait till some people arrived. There's enough people now. We're going to talk about veganism a little bit. Not to be like repetitive or anything. I'm going to pop up like a study. I'm going to explain my issues with nutritional science. It's a lot more complicated, and what you'll often see, especially with the vegans against omnivores, carnivores, ketogenic people, whatever, vegans against the world, is that in these debates they'll often show a study that benefits their position. The other one shoots it down as either biased or funded by the enemy, and it just goes back and forth. So I find, to a certain extent, sure, studies can be useful, but you have to take it with a grain of salt, and you have to look at the weaknesses in the study on both sides. The problem is that on both sides, nutritional science, you ain't locking people in an institution, a vegan group, a ketogenic group, carnivore group, an omnivorous, healthy diet, let's say Mediterranean perhaps, and let's throw in standard American diet. You ain't gonna have that. Not even for 5 years locked up. So you're not isolating, first of all, whether people are telling the truth or not. You're not looking at factors, for example, like if we continually hear that fruits and vegetables are healthy and meat is bad and all of that, people that buy into that, they'll also have other healthy habits. Maybe, obviously there are unhealthy vegans, there are junk food vegans, but a large population that start going vegetarian, we'll call it plant-based, because veganism isn't a diet, it's a movement. All right, fair enough. People that think that this is the optimal way to eat will also maybe not be smoking, not be drinking, not doing drugs. They might be aware of other factors. They might have healthy exercise habits, especially when we're comparing veganism to meat eaters. Okay, so let's look at the percent of vegans in the world compared to everybody else that's not vegan, that are considered meat eaters. You got the vegan, plant-based that are probably a lot more aware of their health. They're focused on that. And within the meat eaters, you have that too. But you have all the McDonald's people. A standard American diet fits into the meat eater group. So you can be eating meat, you can be eating tons of processed foods, you could be consuming tons of carbohydrates, you can have obesity. I'll tell you one thing. Because the vegan diet, it's hard to get all the calories you need. You need to eat, you need to graze all day like a cow. So eventually over time, you're going to be in a caloric deficit. You're not going to be getting as high amounts of protein, things like that. You're avoiding fat. So you will have a lower BMI. I've seen people reverse their diabetes. I've seen their lower their risk factors. When you lose a substantial amount of weight, when you lose weight and you're fat and then you lose weight, okay, your hypertension usually goes away very often. Okay, your insulin markers and stuff like that, they improve. A lot of the risk factors associated with these cardiovascular issues is obesity. What if somebody's consuming, like they're saying, all of these carbohydrates, 60% plus more, that at least 60% carbohydrates, and they're fat, because of it, because they're being told to do that. So they're eating meat, but they're also eating a lot of carbohydrates, because the majority of the people don't even know what a carbohydrate is. When you talk about like sugar, they think table sugar, they think junk food. They don't think of rice, grain, legumes, pasta, bread, and things like that. So losing weight will chances are you'll have a heck of a less chance probably of dying from heart disease. You'll have a lot less chance of having type 2 diabetes. One of the highest risk factors of all-cause mortality, as well as heart disease, it is obesity. So you could not eat anything and fast extensively, get your weight down. Chances are the hypertension, all of these things will improve, and you'll lower your risk factors. But if we look at 1 year, and at best that's it, 1 year studies, and we're going to look into what I mean by these studies are epidemiological. These are looking at health statistics, let's say in Canada, per province, or in the United States per state. So they look at each different state, and then they send food questionnaires to the population. And people can be dishonest, or really just like don't realize exactly what they're eating. So these food questionnaires can be filled out in the wrong fashion. And then after, at best, these can show associations. Okay, but that doesn't prove causation. Then you have, all of these scholarly words like association, causation, link, risk, all of these things. Hazard ratio, we'll talk about that, for example. I have a lot to learn about understanding, reading these studies, being able to criticize them. I'm honest about that. I ain't an expert in the jargon that's used. Self-taught myself a little bit, looked up some stuff, sure. And I'm being honest about that. Maybe I hope, that would encourage vegans to also be honest, that we're a bunch of people that aren't trained in many ways in science or nutritional science, not banging out these studies, and we're all sitting around looking as if we're experts. I mean, doctors don't even know how to read the majority of the time the studies. Doctors will probably at best read the abstract and the conclusion like the majority of people. So let's take nutritional science with a grain of salt. Yeah, or rice. We should take these things with a grain of salt. So let's start popping up some of these screens. Sorry, I wanted to finish the comments. Hello, brethren. Hi, though. Thought you looked different. Yeah. Hit the little button. Yeah, thanks. Please press the thumbs up. Hi, Jason, everyone. Wow, Jason, you are clean as a whistle. Yeah, I will be soon. I'm going to get down. I lost 10 pounds this month, going back on animal-based keto, let's call it. And I need to get to 25 pounds, so another 15 pounds. Probably going to shave my beard soon enough. I'm getting fed up with it. It's the first time I let it ever kind of grow this long. Wife hates it. Not crazy about it either.
I like it.
Yeah, I like the look. Everyone else likes the look, but my wife don't like the look. So it's gross when you kiss somebody. You're like, it's like hair, it's spiky.
I lost 10 pounds of weight, need to go back to the muscle.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you got to send me pictures of the before and after. Yeah, my son was doing very keto carnivore-ish, but he's like ideal body weight. He put on a good amount of muscle, and now he's
Tomorrow's
incorporating.
dinner.
Yeah, now he's incorporating. What kind of carbs do you incorporate? Like rice and stuff?
Rice,
Just
potatoes.
milk,
I stay away from veggies. And
milk,
stuff. Milk.
milk too.
Yeah. I drink a bag of milk a day.
Yeah, so he's definitely highly animal based, but definitely replacing his
Milk right
glycogen. That's good. His glycogen stores. I'll try and get some pictures of him, what he looks like now. He's like ideal by like he hardly has any fat. He's gonna have to like up the fat. Yeah, he eats a lot of butter. Stays away from the seed oils. All right, I am trying to have proof that most, if not all, processed ingredients are actually vegans. Well, I mean, if you look at the middle section, right, they're not using lard anymore. They're using Crisco. Crisco is seed oils that have been hydrogenated, meaning they're already highly industrialized seed oil processing. But on top of it, they do an additional process to ram the hydrogen in there and make those seed oils solid. So there's further processing. Then what's the rest in those things? Soy, right? Corn, wheat, vegetable oils, sugar cane, all sorts of. So yeah, and that's the issue, is that technically that's plant-based, right? Of course, they want to say it's a whole food plant-based diet, but the plant-based diet that is supposedly whole food, like it's a complete, is missing tons of nutrients, or they're in scant amounts. The other thing that you have to realize is that big fat unhealthy person can probably mostly fast the whole first year extensively, prolonged fasting, and their health will improve dramatically because they enter into a catabolic state, which the majority of modern men never get into a catabolic state. They're continually anabolic. So the catabolic state opens up autophagy, and autophagy is a self-cleaning mechanism where your body is able to recycle proteins. They can break them back down to amino acids, reassemble them. The lysosome plays a role as a recycling center, and it will also use all of this broken stuff if it can attain calories from it. So prolonged fasting for 1 year, especially if you're obese, will have tremendous health benefits. So I think that veganism, obviously, we're criticizing like, it's beta carotene, that's poorly converted. Omega-3s are like 3%. It's plant omega-3s are really poor. You're not getting D3, you're getting D2. It's not heme iron, it's non-heme iron. There's iodine issues, there's zinc issues. There's a lot of issues, but you are still kind of maintaining, maybe especially if you're 65% converted of beta carotene. Okay, you probably stretch that longer. If you're consuming flax and these omega-3s that are like minuscule, you're still replenishing it a little bit. You're taking tons of supplements. You're taking vegan protein powder, and so you're managing to all of a sudden bang out 100 grams of plant protein with all the amino acids. So you're supplementing a lot. Food right now in these studies that are looking at nutrient deficiency concerns, well, they're cheating in a way. It's like, wow, everything's fortified. All of my soy milk has B12. Oh, like I can take these supplements. Oh, I can take those supplements. So imagine prior to the ability to fortify foods globally and to have this wide. I mean, you go to those pharmacies and you have like a whole freaking wall, right? A whole wall of supplements. Didn't have that, probably 50 years ago, 60 years ago. I don't know when supplements really started booming. Hit the like button. Hi, Jason, everyone, blah, blah, blah. Hello. Okay, an old video. G Legend, was that your first thing? G Legend just spurts out bread, vegetable oil. No explanation. I'm just going to add bread, vegetable oil, sucks. You do realize that, this ain't the bread the mom made. This ain't sourdough either. This is highly rapidly processed. Go check your brown bread. It all has seed oils in it. There's actually vegetable oils in your brown bread. Look at the side, guys. Yeah, so this was 2 years ago. Let's see the 6 months straight on keto carnivore, what it looks like. This year has,
Canola and or soy.
Yeah, I don't know if you can't. It's so hard to align things. Where is it, Bindu?
It's in the little nutritional box.
Can't see the damn thing. They're gonna have to take. Oh, it's here.
Right above.
Okay, let go. Take it. Yeah. Real végétal, canola et ou soy. It's in English there. So there's canola, there's soybean in there. All right. And how much sugar do you have in a slice of bread? 35 grams. Is that for 1 or 2 slices? That's for 2 slices. Okay, so yeah, a sandwich, 32 grams, 35 grams. Fake Japanese noodle, MSG noodles. Matt says that I look pale. Then I said that I will ban Matt. I'll ban him at the end of this stream, because I'll give him time to repent, and we should pray for Matt. Remember when I said that, and Freedom Grower thought I was really serious when I was just joking. I said I'm banned, and he was like, "This guy's psycho." Besides, like, it's called clear skin. Vegans don't know about that. Can I post the link? Yeah, post whatever link you like, man. So Matt's saying, love you, man, but not into the keto thing. I have been open-minded to it, though, and listen, like I said, I'm fine. That's what I said. That's fine. You don't have to follow the diet and stuff like that. The hill that I would die on is defending an omnivorous diet. I will defend the inaccurate science that eating dietary cholesterol is wrong. I will not demonize animal foods, especially when they're sourced from a good quality. And I do not believe that we should be eating anywhere near the amount of carbohydrates. We've been talking recently a lot about the glycogen storage capacity, the reservoirs where we can store sugar. You want to play within that storage capacity of your individual storage capacity based on your muscle. Go ahead. You probably won't get fat. But if you are in the weight loss phase of your journey, okay, every time you replenish that glycogen store, you're going to have to wait till the insulin goes down, and you won't have as easy an access hormonally to fat. The people that have tried all of the calorie restrictions, eat less, move more, that have failed over and over, that have rebounded, that have slowed their metabolism to that, the people that are highly insulin resistant, I'm sorry, but it just makes sense that if your sugar is starting to build up in your blood and you're insulin resistant because the amount of carbs that you've been eating over the amount of years and the frequency because you're hungry on a high carb diet, I don't think you should be wasting time. You should reverse that insulin as quickly as possible. I have the study of long-term effects of a ketogenic diet. See, I'm popping up a study. It said that you should take even these studies, not the ones I don't like, not the ones that I find useful for proving a damn point. Take them all with a grain of salt. I'm actually going to start putting a lot of energy in really learning all these statistics that they use, I want to do that. So present screen, share screen. Long-term effects of ketogenic diet in obese patients. So you're going to see a lot of vegan publications and stuff like that. And they're going to say, it improves your A1C, reverses insulin and diabetes issues, or potentially can. That's if you're not going on a very high carb vegan diet. Also, probably have to go like really plant-based, a lot of just friggin' plants and stuff like that. Skimping that just makes sense. That would reverse it. Hypertension, all of these improvements, right? But those improvements can happen with a intensive fasting regime for weight loss, slight improvements even in time restricted feeding, the intermittent fasting. You'll see that in vegan population. Anything that brings down your weight will have all of these similar benefits. And we see here that, just reading the conclusion, the weight and body mass index of patients decreased significantly. This is the same claim that is true for vegan diets. I'd like to know, though, the body mass index, if it's decreasing, what about the body composition? Are vegans lowering their body mass index and losing weight and fat probably, but are they losing a larger degree? Is some of that weight muscle loss compared to, let's say, a ketogenic diet? So there's a lot of factors that, can really affect, so again, these nutritional science, you're not locking groups of people for years and years in an institution, making sure they're doing equal exercise, making sure that they're not smoking, that they're not cheating and having, pizzas and stuff like that. Just want to make sure that I was sharing. Yeah, sorry guys. So vegan diet, you'll see in a lot of the literature, body mass index goes down. Same thing here. The level of total cholesterol decreased from week 1 to week 24. Okay.
We have a picture for you of my back
after, yeah. I'll show you pictures, the progress on another one. I have to make a small compilation or something. Cholesterol levels significantly increased, but that's HDL. So HDL cholesterol is what they consider good cholesterol. LDL is a nutrient and cholesterol transporter. It's much smaller, and because it's much smaller, it's also out in the circulation, doing its job, shuttling things around. And especially if you have a high omega-6 content, the actual components of that LDL will be omega-6 oxidized, and they will become pathological. The reason that part of the LDL is present in atherosclerosis is because it's trying to heal it. The LDL is sending nutrients to try and repair it, but it's too extensive. So, LDL is not the cause of atherosclerosis. It may be a part of the pathology, but that's after the LDL has become pathological because of the diet, high oxidation, high insulin, fluctuating glucose, things like that, all sorts of processed ingredients. The level of triglycerides decreased significantly following the 24 weeks of treatment, and the blood level of glucose significantly decreased. The challenge in the level of urea and creatinine were not statistically significant. They wrote that because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, eating meat and stuff, creatinine is hard on your liver and stuff like that. Those were the results. The present study shows beneficial effects of a long-term ketogenic diet. It significantly reduced the body weight and body mass index of patients. Furthermore, it decreased the level of triglycerides, LDL cholesterol, and blood glucose. So it also decreased the LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol people like to call it. I don't consider it bad. The increased the level of HDL. So the HDL, in simple terms, would be the LDL is out in the blood circulation doing its job, right? So what are we doing? The LDL is circulating, doing its job. The HDL goes and grabs the LDL, brings them back to the liver for servicing so that they don't become too destroyed in the blood circulation. So higher LDL means that your higher HDL means that your LDL are staying in circulation and being repaired, more often. So HDL is good. But don't forget that they'll call like total cholesterol adding your HDL and your LDL together. So if you want to decrease your total cholesterol, if you actually do something which lowers your HDL, your good cholesterol, then your total cholesterol will decrease on your lipid panel. So, But there is a study that I pushed on. There is a study that shows that people with high cholesterol, low cholesterol, high LDL, low LDL, normal LDL have heart attacks in all level. It's still prominent because it takes a long time, especially the medical institution that is really closely tied to pharmaceutical and profits from pharmaceuticals. Statins to lower your LDL, lower your cholesterol. It's huge money. So is insulin. That's why they're giving diabetics insulin, even though diabetes is insulin resistance from chronically high insulin. So they give more insulin. Why? Because it's big money. What were they doing before the University of Toronto was able to isolate bovine insulin? They were telling people, wait for it, stop eating so many carbs. Amazing, groundbreaking, revolutionary. So, Matt, here's the thing. This is the Mediterranean diet. You can have fish, right? Almonds, you can have olive oil, and you can add multigrains to it. That is extremely healthy for your heart. But on a ketogenic diet, you can eat the fish, you can have the olive oil as well. And all you're doing is eating vegetables instead of the whole wheat. That's a ketogenic diet. So if you add the grains, you can make it Mediterranean, basically. And if you remove it, then you can call it keto. So like I said, I'm pushing it because if you're really fat and you're discouraged because you've tried to lose weight, it's not because you're just a lazy slug on the couch. You've really tried. And what they're saying, what the recipe for weight loss is what they're saying is not true. It's not. So if somebody's very fat, I'm going to suggest a ketogenic diet. Do it for 1 year. Once you get that weight loss down, once your hypertension is improved, once your cognition is improved, once the appetite suppressant effect, because you have easy access to fat storage, you'll be able to intermittent fast. Then you'll benefit from autophagy, the healing properties of frequent fasting. That was part of, even the Christian culture in the West, and in most cultures, fasting. It's only recent that has been forgotten, along with a lot of things it seems that we're forgetting. Basic definitions of reality we're forgetting. So I'm not surprised that we forgot that. As I also said, is the ketogenic diet, the way I talk about it, I say to eat ketogenically, just like the vegans like to call it a lifestyle. It is a lifestyle. Low carbohydrate, where you're staying under 100 grams, not that restrictive. You can have like up to 5 fruits if you wanted. So you can benefit from that. So why don't we lose the weight as soon as possible? Once the weight loss is achieved, which most people can lose 60, sometimes more in 1 year, there's 365 days. You are not consuming an extremely high amount of fat because you have fat on your body. So the ketogenic diet during fat loss, what you're doing is you are restricting severely the carbohydrates, and you're eating animal food without restriction, and you're adding vegetables on the side with every meal. So your side dishes, instead of being pasta, rice, grains, legumes, and things like that, you're eating vegetables. So I'm wondering, would you think that the definition of a ketogenic diet where animal food is consumed, you don't have to consume every single animal food. You don't have to consume red meat if you don't want to either. So you're consuming a normal amount of animal food until you're satisfied and you're not starved anymore. And you're receiving fat that is within all animal foods. Maybe you're throwing a little bit of butter. You might not even be consuming more fat than you would in the recommended standard American diet. Maybe it's 20 grams higher. You're not counting fat, but it's true. The ketogenic diet will give you a macro 20 grams. How tall are you? Are you a man? How old are you? You're going to consume 20 grams. Every day you're going to hit 100 grams of fat or something. And what's your body weight? Well, you got to get 150 grams of... No. I don't eat anywhere near... I don't calculate protein because I eat and my body tells me when I'm full. Have you ever gone through a whole container of ice cream, or binged on chocolate bars, or ate a whole box of chocolates? Quite easy. Take the best steak that you can. Eat that. It's delicious, right? You love steak. Have another one. Can you overconsume like you do carbohydrates? No. So you don't need to measure when you're eating a omnivorous diet. The ketogenic diet is an omnivorous diet. Once you achieve your body weight and you're not fat anymore, your appetite after that year will naturally increase. And yeah, you might eat more protein. You'll get more fat along with that protein. And that's pretty much it. After 1 year, if most people after 1 year, they enjoy it so much that they end up continuing. But if you want to start adding more than 20 grams because you achieve your weight loss and you want to incorporate the carbs back in, all right, add 10 grams of carbs, wait 2 weeks. How is your weight? How's your fat? Add another 10, wait a week. Add another 10. Understand where the glucose is going. It has room. You're low carb, so you can play around with your glycogen stores. So maybe somebody who lost a lot of weight has a decent amount of muscle mass, and they'll get away with 150 grams of carb if you're, and I'm not saying to do this if you're an athlete. Josiah is eating ketogenically, I guess, but he is doing a modified ketogenic diet where he is not even, he's doing low carb pretty much, but he's fueling up his glycogen usually after the workout session. So he's now he's really, he wants to do the bulk, the cutting and the bulking. So now he's getting, like he said, what, milk, you said, rice.
Milk, rice, potatoes. I stay away from veggies and stuff.
Okay, milk, rice, and potatoes he's using. And he wants to bulk up. And he understands glycogen. So if he does notice that he's getting a little bit of fat over it, then great. I mean, technically, if you look in a physiology book for muscle production, to create muscle, nowhere in the process is carbohydrates required. Don't forget that in a ketogenic diet, you do eventually, you're not ever working on no glycogen. That gluconeogenesis process that your body is doing is maintaining your blood sugar, supplying the 20% of your brain that needs that. Absolutely cannot function on anything but glucose. Body produces that aspect. So and glycogen is restored, never to full capacity. I remember reading, I have to look at it again because I don't want to say something I'm not sure of, but your body does become more efficient, I think, at using glycogen, or there's something up with the glycogen, but no, like JD was talking about that and he convinced me. I agree. Okay, fine. Yeah, makes sense. And what's the problem with using glucose to increase your glycogen, as long as you understand the biochemistry behind it? So if eating salmon, a really nice, whatever amount I want, salmon there, then I have some Brussels sprouts and I put some butter on it, a little bit of salt for taste, and I eat that. If that's ketogenic meal, that is a ketogenic meal. If that's considered unhealthy, then it's unhealthy. If I have that chuck roast, that blade roast, and we have that, and we have it with broccoli the next day, put a little bit of butter again. If eating that chunk of meat, that blade roast, and having the broccoli with a little bit of butter is unhealthy because it's a ketogenic meal, then so be it. If consuming, some almonds, a little bit of cream on some berries one day, and you keep it around 20 grams, even, JD was talking about the concern of chronically being in ketogenic, in ketosis. I'm sure he has a study and stuff like that. Maybe we can talk about that. Okay, fine. Pop yourself out of ketosis once a week. Does that make you happy? Do it.
Why not?
I don't understand. Anyways, but I did 3 years, like maybe a handful of times I might have, socially had some carbohydrates. I was probably popping myself out when I had berries, because I eat a lot of berries. I like berries when I do it. Big amount of protein with almonds, some carbohydrates there. Probably pop myself out in and out constantly. Nutritional ketosis. When I started doing the ketogenic diet, my ketones increased and they'd hover around 2. But after a while, they were like 0.2 and 0.4. And if you look on a lab for ketones, the norm is 0 to 0.4. So even being hardcore keto, I never had elevated ketones. I had it on the higher echelon of what was normal. So it's not a high fat diet. It's a higher fat diet. And I talk about carnivore because if I want to lose weight as soon as possible, I know there's nothing wrong eating lean protein 30 days in a row. I mean, if I'm restricting the carbohydrates and I'm really skimping on the fat because I have a lot of fat, I don't have the carb energy source, and I'm not supplying very much fat from my diet. Where do you think it's going to go get the calories? It's going to suck that fat. So I use these things, and I think that the best way to keep your body, tip-top shape is keep it guessing. You can modify it and you can adopt it as you want after, but I really do not think it's extreme. I think the science shows that no one can say it's unhealthy. There's zero evidence of it being unhealthy for 365 days. And you could probably lose almost all of your weight in a year with a ketogenic diet. And then by choice, you can then increase your carbohydrate consumption. Hopefully, if you do the ketogenic diet, you've done all the research and understand the principles behind it and the biochemistry. And then you know how to eat. And then you have a lot more variety and variations. I did 8 months of inconsistent ketogenic diet. I was eating poorly, and to be honest, eating poorly for me. I still only went up, I'm 6 foot. I'm just under 6 foot. So weighing 195, not morbidly obese. So now I can get down to 175, and I'll get down to that. And so I'm not depressed why I put on 25 pounds. It was quite obvious why I put 25 pounds. And you can see when I did it 6 months ago, I tried to get into it, and I did another actually strict, we can call it carnivore. I was like, no, I'm just eating steak, not supplying carbs, not supplying much fat in these lean cuts, 13 pounds in 30 days. You don't have to, and no, it's not sustainable to eat a high protein diet with no carbs and not enough fat. So that's pretty much it. People really don't want a ketogenic diet, then I just explained that you don't need all those carbs. Do low carb. Stay under 100. See what it does. How about the only sugar source that I will get are from fruits and vegetables, and I don't have to limit it. I eat as much fruits and vegetables as I want, right? But I still eat the animal food. You'll lose weight. That's my response, Matt. But don't forget, this is not a ketogenic diet. This is no longer a ketogenic YouTube channel. It's my channel. That's why I'll talk about everything. Talk about religion because that's Jason. That's part of me. So I'll share my faith. It's not a Christian channel. It's not a diet channel because I talk about the World Economic Forum. It's not a conservative channel, even though I tend to lean, ever since I opened my eyes towards politics, I tend to have values that are conservative. I never voted in my life, I don't think. Started paying attention to the carnivore, started paying attention during the pandemic. Didn't like what Trudeau and the federal government was doing. So started to watch Daily Wire. I didn't know it was a conservative podcast. And I liked Matt Walsh. I thought he made a lot of sense. And I liked Ben Shapiro. And I liked Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson was not political. He was putting out psychology content that he was doing in University of Toronto when he was a professor in the humanities. Now he's more political. I don't blame you because politics has really gone off the rails. So people are getting more political. Heard accusations. Oh, okay, yeah, you'll believe whatever the conservatives say because you bought into them. No, I didn't even know what a conservative was. Didn't know what a Republican was. No clue. I just happened to start listening. Didn't know that Fox was more biased towards the right and CNN was towards the left. I just watched CNN and thought that they were full of crap and thought they were off the walls with their ideologies and what they were supporting in the culture. Kind of like Tucker Carlson. All of a sudden, I'm realizing all these guys are Republicans and Republicans and conservatives and whatnot. Okay, that's why I'll kind of say that I'm like that. I won't blindly follow them. I just seem to line up. It makes sense. That's why there's a lot of religious people that are more conservative or Republican, because everything's from a worldview. That's why there's people that are atheistic and secular and materialist tend to be Democrats. And they come to different conclusions based on that worldview. Because I don't think that everybody on the left are idiots or everybody on the right are idiots. I think that smart people exist on both sides, but these smart people come to their logical and rational conclusions based on the worldview. So they have this worldview. That means that there's certain beliefs that they hold as true, and they use their logic and rationale, some of them, and they come to these leftist conclusions. Same thing on the right. I don't know. Maybe that's extreme. Tell me what you think, Matt. Or why don't you come on just at the end? All right. So that's my response. I see winter. It was 0 degrees Fahrenheit, -20 wind chill last night here. Remind me where you live. Are you in Canada? Jason John Swartz, can I post the link about soy? I'm assuming yes. You guys are free to post whatever links you want. I'll recognize if you're vegan and you're posting links. I'll kick you out. It is super short. Maybe we can look at it then. So cold yesterday, I didn't let my chickens outside. Fed and watered them in their coops. Didn't want them to get frostbite or freeze. Yeah. I wrote, if you're fat and you're trying to lose weight, I'll suggest keto for the weight loss. After you attain your weight, start slowly adding carbohydrates and see where the weight goes. That's what I'm doing. Hi, Leah. Me too, toque, socks, pajamas. Yeah, I know Margaret's in my area. It is a short. Okay, let's look at it. Let me fall back. I sound like a soy boy disconnected from reality. What up? Margaret says, yes, slept in pajamas. Okay, I wrote that. The meat eating is going up in India. Yeah, I look at the nutritional deficiencies. Don't forget that this idea that India is a vegan continent. They're vegetarian. They eat a lot of ghee, which is a animal fat. They eat tons of chicken. A lot of chickens. So they just don't eat beef. And if you look at the percentage of, it's not like 80% of people are vegetarian in India. I remember looking at that. It's not. Maybe early spring, then be complaining about heat and humidity. Humans to live on Earth, 0 vegans can make it past 114, 126. I don't think there's anyone can make it that. Humans live on Earth. Rice spikes blood sugar, of course. Refrigerator for a day helps cut the starch. Didn't know that. I have to look into that. Is that true about rice? Josiah is questioning also. Different meats go different minerals: beef, pork, poultry, bison, rabbit. The grazers each munch on different grasses and herbs. Do you have heating lamps to keep the coops warm? I do. Those red things. You can eat meat and live to 144. Look at, is it Japan or part of China, the highest centennials, and they eat meat. Take it with a grain of salt. I do remember there was a study that's saying, look how old those guys live. Look at the Maasai. Their traditional diet was completely carnivorous. Weston A. Price. I'm gonna have to get that book back from a colleague of this guy. He's not vegan, but for some reason he keeps eating only beans to lose weight, and he weight trains, and he'll buy whey protein, but he'll also buy vegan protein. And I'm like, what's your rationale? What's the benefit? Like, why? Like, do you think that you're like, it's more complete. I'm getting the animal amino acids here, and then I'm getting the vegan amino acids there. Like, vegans isolate complete protein within those powders. And the bean thing, I'm like, dude, like, you're just eating carbs, like, with no fat and protein. I don't know. Anyways, and he's not losing weight. That's the problem. He's still squishy. I told him, like, why don't you just try this he doesn't want it. I do miss Betty White. She will always be the best in her lane. I do, but when they close the coops, they are warm. Yeah, I feel bad. We only have like one chicken left, one sole chicken in the back there. Processed meat or roosters. Crisco was meant to be a survival candle, heat source for emergencies. Yeah, cottonseed oil. If you stick and wick or a candlestick size candle into Crisco and light it, lasts like 3 to 4 days burning. Are you freaking serious? Thank you. It's good to know, man. That's why there is what? Let me see this label. Label. Are you freaking serious, dude? That's hilarious. Look, guys, Matt said, he's like, yeah, you can make a canister of Crisco oil. It'll burn for like a few days, burn hot. Check this out. And then he mentions, he's like, that's why there's a candle. You just blew me away. All right, I'm not banning you just because you impressed me so much with that. You saved yourself. See, that's why I didn't ban you immediately. I was waiting for you to redeem yourself. You're partly redeemed. So you're not banned, that's for sure. But you're still on probation. We have 9 people, guys. I'm not a dictator. I'm not an authoritarian regime. So, if you agree with my judgment on Matt, that he is no longer banned because he impressed me so much with that Crisco fact, but he is still on probation. If you agree with my judgment, mark down agree or disagree. Keep in mind, if you disagree, you automatically enter into probation with Matt. Just saying. There is a lot of chicken and rooster talk. This should have been like chicken, a chicken live stream. Yeah, this is just a constant chicken and rooster conversation. What up, man? Hey, Peter. Appreciate your science and medical background and your research, well informed. I'm actually full of crap. as long as you say it with confidence, they'll eat it up. Something in my screen. Did you all see the Chinese spy balloon over the last few days? I mean, come on, 3 to 4 days of BS to take down a balloon. We have them in parades that size. Look like popping a kid's balloon today. Yeah, Matt Walsh was talking about that. Mediterranean diet sounds okay. Okay, fine. Let's look up this Mediterranean diet. Let's check it out, guys. Let's just look at the images first of the Mediterranean diet, and then we can read what the definition of it is. So let's look at some of these meals here. This here, olive oil. This here, look. Okay, so there's full of greens, and there looks like, I guess, is that like a grilled chicken breast? You can still put olive oil on that, and there's bread here. So remove this aspect here, eat that with butter or some olive oil. This is a ketogenic meal. Add the bread, Mediterranean. Keto, not good. Add the bread, Mediterranean. Heart good. Some kind of animal food here. Some kind of soup or dip or something like that. As long as it's low carb, lots of dips are high in fat, make your own. Vegetables. Keto. That can be a keto meal. See this here? No. Take the bread away. Keto meal. Add bread. Mediterranean. Remove bread. Bad for your heart. Add bread. Good for your heart. What's this look like? Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, protein, water, healthy fats, which olive oil, nuts, and seeds, limit butter and trans fat. Okay, well, that's stupid but anyways, I think we've proven that. So can you have a little bit of fruit every day on a carnivore diet? Yeah, keep it below 20. And you'll get the exact same effect, especially if you're muscular, if you add like 40 grams, 50 grams. Vegetables, keto, you can use that. Healthy fats, olive oil. I have no problem with butter. Drink plenty of water. You can do that on keto. Protein, choose fish, poultry, dairy over red meat, but eat all in moderation. Try to avoid processed meat. Include plant sources of protein such as beans, lentils, and chickpeas. I wonder if this was kind of the updated, but you know what? You don't like beef? Eat fish, eat chicken. Okay, eat cheese. Let's look at the written definition of it. Cut my lip, man. Keep on licking it. Mediterranean diet. It's based, The Mediterranean diet is based on traditional foods that people used to eat in countries bordering the Mediterranean, France, blah, 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 Italy. Researchers noted that these people were exceptionally healthy and had low risk of many chronic conditions. Although there are no strict rules or regulations for the diet, typically encourages fruit, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, and heart-healthy fats. Processed foods, added sugar, and refined grains should be restricted. You can easily be eating some seeds, some nuts if you want. You can eat full of non-starchy vegetables, and you can add olive oil if you like. Watch out, because the majority of olive oil is tainted with seed oils. They're just being dishonest. We're not even sure if there's portions of that is like omega-6. They did a study, what is that, Business Watchdog? Anyways, they analyzed in very good quality ones, and some of them, keto meals. Let's look at some of the keto meals that they're showing up. Let's see what these things look like. Images. Ketogenic meal. Anybody see a problem with this ketogenic diet meal? Veggies and beef. Oh. Back up. Ketogenic meals. Ketogenic meal. Let's look at the stuff that's on here. All right. You can have a small amount of these things. You can have vegetables, you can have cheese, you can have chicken, you can have eggs, you can have fish. There's your ketogenic meal, because you think that meat's going to kill you. You can do that. So people often don't have, they have a misconstrued idea that you're scarfing down, bacon. It's a bacon diet. That's what keto is to a lot of people. Oh, it's a bacon diet, and you're just gorging yourself on fats. Meal ideas. Just like you can have junk food meals on vegans and stuff like that, you can have really shady stuff on ketogenic meals also. Okay. So I don't know. I think there's some misconceptions. I think that people think that we're gorging ourselves on just lard and fat and nonstop. Not that I have a problem with that, but if you do, then eat animal food and vegetables on the side. Limit the fat if you want. Doesn't matter. You'll still get way more fat. Even if you're adding zero fat, as long as you're eating animal food, you're getting all the fat that you need. See, Matt agrees. Mediterranean diet sounds okay. And if you remove the bread, then Matt just admitted that a ketogenic diet is perfectly healthy. I'm joking. I think limiting processed food is key. Yes. It is upsetting. Okay, balloon. Yes, the Air Force chased it all day. It's on a video. Yes.
Okay. You picked up Josiah, right?
Yeah. No
Okay.
one Josiah here.
Okay, no, it's just because Zach just texted me wondering if Josiah needed a ride.
No, that's good.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Yep.
Perfect.
Love you. Bye-bye. Any more? I think we covered. I'm glad Jason is talking about this. I've been eating horribly this weekend, eating horribly all year. Join a club. I'm just finally getting my crap together. Grass-fed Jersey cow raw milk is the bomb. What is the original milk kind before buying it? I don't remember, but that A2 milk. There's some people that have lactose intolerance to one of these, and then other people that try the other one, they don't. Am I wrong about that? You can come on later, Matt, if you like. Okay, cool. All right, I think we covered everything. So let's go over some actual information here, guys. I just want to make sure one thing. I'm on that. Yeah, that's a good one. El Presidente. Present. All right, let's race through this. Oxford Academic, Journal of Nutrition. Please tell me in the chat if you don't see this screen. I already know pimp slap the Rachel in the kitchen. G Legends talking about pimp slapping. Whatever. What up, Highness? His Royal Highness. A conservative projection shows, okay, so this is the importance of animal foods in agricultural sustainability and food security. This is from 8 years ago, 2015. A conservative projection shows the world's population growing by 32% to 9.5 billion by 2050. And not if the World Economic Forum has anything to say about that. Depopulation, mass genocide. Sorry. 52%, 53% to 11 billion. Yeah, okay. I love these computer projections, right? You don't know what's going to happen. Bill Gates himself even says, it'll probably stabilize around, I think he's in that TED talk where he's talking about reducing CO2 by eliminating everyone. Because more arable land worldwide is already in use, the water and energy is also limited. Increased production of food will require a substantial increase in efficiency. In this article, we highlight the importance of animals to achieve food security. That's a word that we've been hearing an awful lot about lately. In this article, we highlight the importance of animal food in achieving food security in terms of its valuable contribution to agricultural sustainability, especially in developing countries, and the high nutritional value of animal foods in the diet. How long is this thing going to be? It's not too long. We can read the whole thing. In a recent editorial in Science, Donald Kennedy discussed the critical need for increased funding for agricultural research because of the challenges associated with feeding the world's rapidly expanding population, and to correctly identify food security as the main global challenge in the 21st century. As Kennedy's editorial correctly pointed out, the challenge of feeding populations of greater than 9 billion is a daunting task, and because arable land and clean water resources are already limited, it will only be possible through the application of agricultural innovations and increased efficiency of food production. We're doing the actual opposite. By jumping on this climate change bandwagon, trying to demonize fossil fuel before we even have another form that can replace it to even part, like I think it's what, 15, not even 20%, maybe 20% of the energy can be from wind and solar. Only 20. You're missing 80%, and we're already creating food scarcity through everything that's happened in a while that, in my opinion, has been orchestrated. It's perfect. It just happens just by coincidence to be screwing all of us and benefiting all of the billionaire corporations and billionaires themselves. It's just a coincidence. There's an association. We can't prove causation. However, he failed to mention the important role of animals, and we would therefore like to expand on that issue and several other critical issues. Food security is defined by the World Health Organization as ready access to sufficient, safe, nutritious food to maintain a healthy and active life. Meanwhile, they're talking about food scarcity, and JD showed me yesterday on his live stream on his channel. Please go check that out. That there's this farmer that it's in the National Post, and thousands and thousands of gallons are just being poured into the drain because of some kind of quota that Canada sets on the production of milk. So we're talking about food scarcity here. We have empty shelves here. We have the child replacement for breast milk there. The garbage that they feed children if you're not breastfeeding. That's off the shelves. People are having trouble feeding their baby in the NFLAC. And meanwhile, in Canada, all these farmers are meeting their quotas and just throwing it down a drain because the government says that's what you got to do. Because that makes total sense. Wouldn't want to make cheese and export it around the world. You do realize you could make tons of cheese for that. However, he failed to mention the importance of animal food. So although the focus and discussion about food security is usually the developing world, not soon it won't just be for the developing world. Where most of population growth is expected to occur, food security is equally important for the developing world. Globally, food insecurity currently affects nearly 1 billion people. Wow. Including 20 million children aged less than 5, who experience severe malnutrition, while Canada throws perfectly good milk down the drain. Makes sense. No, makes sense. Quotas are important. Major causes of death and disability worldwide. Similarly, in the developed world, food security remains problematic in the United States. Hunger is principally caused by poverty or stupid quotas, maybe, which currently affects 21% of children under the age of 18 of the population in the United States, blah, blah, blah. Let's try and go a little bit quicker. Here, this is what we want to get to. The role of animals and animal products. Importantly, although often overlooked, meat, milk, eggs, and other animal products, including fish and other seafood, will play an important role in achieving food security for several reasons. First, animal products are an important source of high quality, balanced, and highly bioavailable protein and numerous critical micronutrients, including iron, zinc, B12, and vitamin A. Remember beta-carotene conversion to retinol? Many of which are deficient in a large portion of the world's population. Thus, moderate consumption, not tiny scrap consumptions, the least amount possible, but actually a moderate consumption. And I think that if you're just eating animal food till you're satisfied, it'll average to moderate amount. Thus, moderate consumption of animal source foods play an important role in achieving a nutritionally balanced diet, especially in the developing world. Second, because they are recognized as high quality foods, global demand for animal products is almost certainly to continue to increase dramatically. Yeah, that's not going to happen. There's a lot that's changed since 2015. Now everything is about decreasing animal food. Oh my, have things changed. The drivers of the increased demand for, and do you think that it's a coincidence that the whole plant-based recommendations, that were done in Canada, everywhere, do you think that's a coincidence that it's getting attacked on, through government policies? So I have no choice but to watch these watch these patients in the hospital admitted eating 60% carbohydrates, seed oils, not eating butter. Majority is beans and stuff like that, fat-free cheese, skim milk. Good. So yes, the stupid food pyramid that people or that plate now that people say, like, I don't follow that. Well, it doesn't matter, because you will eventually. Eventually, you're going to need the system, and the system will be feeding you this garbage. Third, animal farms are critical to a sustainable agricultural system, and especially for smallholders who comprise most of the world's farmers. Yeah, well, the smallholders, they're working on you guys. They're not going to be smallholders soon. They're going to be stakeholders. Remember, World Economic Forum? They ain't talking about any smallholders. They're talking about the stakeholders, the rich, entrepreneur, philanthropists. Man, I'm cocky today. It must be the weather. I'm like cocky and sarcastic. I don't know. Farm animals contribute not only a source of high quality food that improves nutritional status, but also additional resources, such as manure for fertilizer and farm power and other byproducts, and in addition, provide economic diversification and risk distribution. What have I been talking, just recently to Jeffrey Phillips about? I was like, what we need to do is return to a more ecologically imitating the natural ecology of how the soil has a symbiotic relationship with the ruminant animals. So we need that manure. We need that for fertilizers. That's what the soil needs, not these mined and petroleum-based fertilizers that wreak havoc. And that if we're mining for these minerals, then it is not sustainable. It's not an unlimited resource. We'll get to the end of it. So imagine, let's completely remove our ability to replenish soil with ruminant animals and their manure. Let's just do it like the vegans. Let's just they're gone. There's no more animal agriculture. They're gone. Don't take advantage of it. Vegans themselves, okay, like Joey Carbstrong, say don't eat organic vegetables, because organic vegetables are using manure, and manure is taking advantage of their poop. So I didn't realize, and I never thought about it this way, but man, my toilet upstairs in my own house is taking advantage of my poop. Vegan logic makes sense. Who would have known? Might start having to put out, TikToks that toilets, especially white toilets, are racist. Farm animals contribute not only to high quality food that improves nutritional status, but also additional resources, the farm power, the fertilizer. And I also mentioned to Jeffrey, I was like, yeah, I know, but let's assume climate change is true. They're talking, okay, climate change. We're going to have famines because of that. We're going to have displacement and huge migrations of population. We're going to have natural disasters, droughts. We're going to have increasing water levels that can flood the coast. So if our climate is going to be so volatile and unpredictable, why would we remove all animal food because it's more compassionate? And basically carnism, as a recent video from a vegan sent me, says that carnism is a religion, and that animals, me and Garland Farms JD, we're going to go through a video. I think it's 37 minutes. I was thinking that I was going to do it alone. This video is way too good. It's talking about some people that are evolved enough to get everything they need from the air, from breathing, breatharians. They're talking about getting all essential nutrients through the light. And only a very small amount of people can do that on Earth, because that depends on their level of consciousness and their frequency, and how they're how high they're vibrating, right? Because they're not ingesting death. So first you start by not ingesting animals. Then after, when you get evolved enough and enlightened, then you don't even need the vegetables. You can live on air and sunshine. Jeffrey sent a video to Garland Farms, and that's the video I'm talking about, and that's the video that we're going to discuss about. I really like Jeffrey. I'm going to have him on to talk about digital currency, Bitcoin, and stuff like that. He says he's really into that, and he has a really large Facebook group, one of the largest, I think he said, that he moderates. So he's part of that. So he knows his stuff about that. I know nothing about that. So I said, you know what? I like to try and connect with people that are vastly different from me. I tried to do that, as you know, with previous collaborations with people that are vegan. But I think it was one of the most pleasant conversations that I was able to have with a vegan. We managed to work the dynamic out, to say our opinions, and to not belittle each other. So I'm definitely going to criticize that video heavily. I'm going to laugh at it, but I'm not going to put down Jeffrey Phillips. I really like the guy. Very impressed with his character. So until he does something to make me change my mind, that's my stance on him. Hopefully we can develop a friendship, even though we have vastly different views, and he can criticize how stupid my beliefs are as much as he wants. Criticize the belief, not the person. Moreover, increased efficiencies in the past several decades through genetic selection, improved management technologies have saved a large amount of resources, including water and land, and have substantially reduced the carbon footprint of animal production. I don't have the stats on top of my head. Another thing probably JD could spit out. We look at decade after decade how more and more efficient and less carbon footprint, and more the technologies are able to use less fertilizer, all of these things, less resources. And so if we keep on going down that route, and we also start banning grain-fed ruminant animals, it's like it's an ethical issue. No, you can't do it. That's wrong. Fine. All ruminant animals have to be pasture raised, let's say. In Canada, during cold and other places, well, you know what? We don't have to store up grain for the cows. We can store up those grasses, unless I'm wrong. Then after, so you're replenishing the soil. You are being more ethical because the animals are protected. The animals are not pumped with hormones. They're not pumped with antibiotics. They are where they're supposed to be. I got to get, anyways, that. Then after, with the not putting all your eggs in one basket, no pun intended, going completely plant-based with the climate could have devastating crop yields because of all this climate change. And that would cause a real famine and people would die. So you should always have animal as well as plant agriculture. Fourth, ruminants, buffalo, cattle, goats, sheep. Efficiency, convert the forages from grasslands, right? The forages from grasslands that like humans have absolutely nothing they can do with that. They can sustain no nutrients from these things. But the ruminant animals, they can forage from these grasslands and they produce high quality animal products, nutrients. See, the grass, it goes in the cow. And when it comes out, there's nutrients that exist now that never existed because of the microbiotic, because of the bacterial fermentation occurring in these amazing animals. This is important because grassland pastures cover greater than 25% of the Earth's land surface, and despite being home of nearly 1 billion people, comprise primarily marginally of non-arable land. However, sustainable farm animal production will also require a more complete understanding of the impacts on the environment. For example, a report from the UN estimated that livestock and especially ruminant animals contribute as much as 18% of greenhouse gas emissions. I've seen the statistics and it's 9% for all of agriculture, but we can go here. Livestock's long shadow, environmental issues and options. We can also, when was this written? 2015. We can check it out. But I have it more along the lines of 9-ish%, with 3% being from animal livestock and actually 6% for plant. And they'll calculate rainwater and say that we're using water for the cows. They're not taking into account the rainwater because it makes the stats look worse, and that's their agenda. And so regardless, as farm animal production continues to increase, we need to be concerned not only greenhouse gases, but also the impact of farm animals on soil, water, and biodiversity. We also need to better understand the specific role of animal products in the diet in the global increase in non-communicable diseases such as the typical modern diseases, diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular, because non-communicable diseases are now responsible for more deaths worldwide than all other causes. In this regard, recent reports from the National Research Council and from the Office of Disease Prevention and Health. So solving the problem and overcoming the obstacles to sustainable food security, although daunting, are not options, because food security is critical not only to national security, but also to global stability. Feeding the world's rapidly expanding population can therefore rightly be viewed as the main global challenge. We can look at sure. Throwing in some keywords here. Still screen sharing, right? Yeah. Okay. See, this is the one that I think JD showed me. Yeah. First reading: dairy farmer decries mandatory milk dumping to keep prices high. At a time of At a time of generationally high grocery prices, Ontario farmer Jerry is required to destroy 30,000 liters of excess production. I dump 30,000 liters of milk and it breaks my heart. This is what we looked at yesterday.
Right now, during the winter months, you milk quite a bit more milk because the feed is very consistent. And as you do a good job, you will produce quite a bit of milk. So, but right now we're over our quota. It's regulated by the government and by the DFO. But the problem is what they don't understand is millions of people look at this milk running away because it's the end of the month. So I have to dump 30,000 liters of milk, and it breaks my heart. I will show you. By the way, this here Canadian milk, it's $7 a liter. When I go for my haircut, people say, "Wow, $7, Jerry, for a little bit of milk." I say, "Well, you have to go higher up because we have no say anymore as a dairy farmer on our own farm because they make us dump it, and no matter how we stand."
All right. So people aren't able to buy, replacement breast milk, but this Canadian farmer is dumping it. Why can't we export this? Make money? Why can't we make cheese? Fine Canadian cheese, export it around the world? No.
So this time I'm going public. I want the people to see the pain that us growers have of 365 days. As a little boy, we grew up on a dairy farm, came from Europe, work, and here we are. This is what's happening. Oh, by the way, only one country in the world here in Canada. There's not the United States, not Europe, where they dump thousands of liters when they're over. But we're not supposed to talk about this because, I don't know, it's just one of those things.
Yeah. All right. I don't want to get a strike. Interesting, guys. Sad, shocking. I hope so. Let's go back to the comments. Anybody want to come on? Let's look at the comments. I don't want to go through a whole study that I didn't go through the study that I was planning to go on, but I'll show you the most important part of it. Pasta Queen is a true chef. I want to be her apprentice. How high do I have to go here? Looked up okay, yeah. Just checking out stuff. Why can't they just leave us alone? We don't bother these World Economic Forum ding-dongs. We do bother them. You know what bothers them? Is that we exist and that we have freedom and that we can live our own lives, and they don't like that. So we are bothering them, highly bothering them. Has it been that long? I just love your top hat and flower. Okay, they're chatting amongst themselves. I want to be a stakeholder just before I cook it, medium rare, and eat it. Right on. Slowly winning me back. Keep up with those comments. Yes. Gotta go eat dinner later, folks. Damn it, Matt. I wanted you to come on. In Quebec, there are more farmers now, but these are hobby farmers. Yeah. They don't even want you to consume A12 milk. They want you to consume almond water with lab pharmaceutical nonsense. That is so sad. Vegans are one click away from being a straitjacket award winner. Yeah. I concur. When I put up show and then hide. Okay. Let's go to the next article. It's actually getting warm, finally. Finally, I'm getting hot. Woohoo! It's boiling in here. Wouldn't go that far. Sustainability. This is the one that I was planning on checking out. Yeah, I'm still screen sharing. Plant-based diets and long-term health findings. This is how long? Not reading the abstract, that's for sure. All right. The term plant-based diet has been used for more than 20 years with discussion and possible benefits and risks. There's no universally agreed upon definition, although some have used it to refer to omnivorous diets with a low content of animal food, example, meat and fish. The threshold for this has not been agreed here. We take the pragmatic approach of using it to refer to vegetarians. You got the lacto-ovo, you got the plant-based except for dairy products and or eggs. You got the vegan diet that's 100% garbage plant-based. Evidence on the health status of vegetarians and vegans come from a substantial number of relatively small cross-sectional studies. So here, evidence on the health status of the vegetarians and vegans. It comes from a substantial number, but of relatively small cross-sectional studies which compare their dietary intake, the nutritional status, and the physiological characteristics with those meat eaters. Together, now they don't define meat eaters. Our meat eaters are all the standard American dieters that are fat, that are eating, crap. Are they considered the meat eaters too? Together with a small number of prospective cohort studies, which follow the health of these groups over many years. But how do they follow the health? Often it's food questionnaires. This review is based largely on results from EPIC Oxford, with some results from the earlier Oxford vegetarian study. Now, this ain't gospel here. I said take it like with a grain of salt. I'm not being a hypocrite about it. Just give me a second. I'm gonna have to go upstairs because I won't go upstairs. We can just go to the other section because I got to plug in the computer. Stop screen share. Any of you want to come on? I can still read this article while somebody's coming on, so we can chat. You can give me your opinion. Maybe I'll have you read it, so I don't have to read it. Come on. Don't be checking. It's much better for your sanity to not have me constantly talking. I heard there's an association between that and increased all-cause mortality. I'm going to change my YouTube channel to Pajama Pant Boy. That would have been good. That would have been unique. It's Pajama Pant Boy. Stitch, come here. Come. Come. It's one of our kitties. He's getting old though. Too bad. Hey, look. He's missing an eye. You see it? He only got one eyeball. He's a rescue cat. Where's the other one? The other one has one eyeball too. You don't believe me? That one's a little more squeamish. I might not be able to catch her. Good girl. Come on. Trying to get her claws out of here. No. Jeez, why are you guys so squeamish today? Here. This one only has one eyeball also. Cats are edible, by the way. Margaret! Finally, somebody's coming on. You're on.
Hi.
Thanks for joining. Hello.
Okay, I didn't have a chance to follow up here in Canada, but in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
it was on one of my news channels that they were flying drones over farms
Mm-hmm.
and homes with vegetable gardens, also over cemeteries.
Not surprised. Nothing surprised me anymore. Nothing's okay. Isn't that sad though? Like 30,000 liters. That's one farmer. Imagine
Yep.
the amount of milk just going down the drain. I don't understand what's the benefit of these quotas then?
I was
Like,
staying on a farm in Huntington,
yeah,
and they have a gauge on the milk cooler.
okay.
If he goes over it, he has to dump some, or else he'll get fined. If he's under, they want to know why he's under, and he gets fined.
Yeah, like these farmers, it's like,
Like their backs are up against the wall. You know, you got to figure they have to pay their taxes, their utility bills.
oh,
If a cow is
they
sick,
keep
they
them.
have to call in a vet. That's expensive to get a vet in,
Yeah,
plus the
yeah.
medication. If the cow is on medication, they milk it, but it doesn't go in the milk cooler.
No,
It
I know
gets
that.
dumped.
Yeah.
Whereas in the States, everything goes in that cooler.
Really? See, well, that's the thing. The vegans were, like I looked up Alberta beef and stuff like that. Same things. Like they're not pumped with hormones, at least in Canada, or the beef coming from Alberta. Like you said, the antibiotics. If they are on antibiotics, uh, they're definitely tested their levels so that there's like maybe beyond like less than trace amounts and stuff like that, or else it doesn't go into the
But
food
there was
supply.
a law passed in the early 2000s because even boys were growing boobs.
Mhm.
And the doctors are, what the heck is going on? So they did an investigation, and it was the hormones that they were giving the cows to
Makes
make them
sense.
grow faster, put them on the meat market.
Yeah.
So if you're a big meat eater, and I know this for a fact because of my nieces,
Hmm.
well, there you go. You know,
Yeah.
it's so now your cow is sick, it's milk, but it's dumped, and
Hmm.
it doesn't go on the market until she's over her illness or infection.
Yeah. No, exactly. They look at either the vegans are straight out lying, or they're exaggerating, or there are these issues in certain places.
No,
Uh,
they see something in the headline and they go, really? But they don't investigate it.
no, no, exactly. See,
They
here's
just
an
don't.
example. Now that Matt's gone, okay, hey, no one voted agree or disagree, so I don't even know if I'm banning Matt or not. But see,
No, don't
let's
ban
see.
them.
Look here, for example, just with this lighting, I look pale as a mofo. You know what I mean? Because I'll tell
We're
you,
in Canada, we're all pale.
yeah, I know, but no, like I mean, definitely the lighting and stuff like that, it can have a profound effect, because I've never looked pale or crappy and stuff like that. In fact, if you look at the before and after pictures that I initially was posting on the Fast Keto Prime channel, it's like night and day. Like I look 10 years older when I started like when I started the keto, and I looked back 5 years back, kind of thing. I looked like a decade, or at least look 5 years younger. You guys have seen those pictures previously, I
Yeah.
think. I won't, since you're coming on and we're having a conversation, I might keep this study for the next time. But I just, at the same time as we're chatting, I want to show you a definition that's quite important, which shows the complexity of analyzing these research articles if we're not trained, because I'm not trained and I admit it. Here, do you see it? The hazard ratio.
Magnifying glass out. Yeah, okay. Yeah, therapy for HR and breast cancer.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the section here, just the 233 for a definition here. Hazard ratios are measures of association widely used in the prospective studies. It is the result of comparing the hazard function among exposed to the hazard function among non-exposed. As for the other measures of association, a hazard ratio of 1 means that there's not even an association. Okay, so because I'm going to show you a study with hazard ratio. So a hazard ratio of 1 means that there's no association.
Okay.
What is association? Association just means there's a parallel to it. They even showed they looked at the death rates or the drowning rates. Yeah, they looked at the drowning rates, summer drowning rates compared to Nicolas Cage movies, and they showed that there was an association between Nicolas Cage when he makes movies and drownings, kind of thing. They were just proving a point that there's literally an association. There's a parallel, but there's no cause. There's no causation. So that's a problem with all of these nutrition science. A large part of them are these epidemiological studies that can they can determine association. Is there an association or not? What's very the purpose, what a very useful tool of epidemiological studies is that why would you spend millions of dollars on a study when there's no association? How can there be a cause if there's not even an association between it? So what they'll do is they'll do these forms of research called epidemiological studies, and then they can look if there's an association. They can look if there's a strong association or a weak association, like, for example, this hazard ratio that we're going to look into, but it doesn't prove causation. So if you find an association, maybe it's worth doing a randomized control trial where you're trying to prove causation and things, various different types of scientific, you have randomized control trials, you have cohort studies, you have meta-analysis, you have epidemiological studies, you have observational studies, there's all forms and stuff like that, but they shouldn't actually be publishing epidemiological studies claiming associations, because it means that the science is not out on it. It's an association. Why are you scaring the public, confusing the public with associations when you scientifically cannot prove that causes this?
Right.
Full stop. So as for the other measures of association, a hazard ratio of 1 means lack of association. A hazard ratio greater than 1 suggests an increased risk. It doesn't prove causation. It says there's a stronger association, therefore maybe there's a bigger risk, because now that it's not a weak association, it's a stronger one. Again, not proving causation. And a hazard ratio below 1 suggests a smaller risk. Okay, so greater than 1, increased risk. Less than 1, smaller risk. 1 right in the middle, no association. Okay, so let's go see this plant-based study. And let's go to this. So this is looking at the risk of various conditions in vegetarians compared to meat eaters in the EPIC Oxford study. Includes data from EPIC study and Oxford vegetarian study combined. It's adjusted for BMI. Vegetarians and vegans combined. The ratio hazard, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So is it big enough? Can we make this picture bigger? So we can.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can, but then I want to scroll down now. Okay, cool. All right, disease subgroups, hazard ratio. Remember, 1, no correlation, no association.
Right.
Less than 1, low risk, and the lower it goes below 1, like 0.53, this point, 0.55. So anyways, you get the point. So here you look, this will be the meat eater side on this side, on this side of the line, because there's a straight line, right, that goes right through it. Here's your
Okay.
hazard ratio. So there's that 1. Anything that falls along this line is zero association. The more it goes this way, it means that there is a very high association. Okay. And anything below here, low associations with it. Okay.
Okay.
So the more that we're verging towards here, it means there's an association, but it's getting less and less likely that it's actually a direct cause. Same thing here. This, if it would hit 4, that's like, there's a huge association. This is likely, something to look into causation.
Right.
So diabetes, meat eaters. Okay. So this means that there's more people there's more association with diabetes in the meat eater group. Okay. But don't forget, who are the meat eaters? It's not defined. Meat eaters are everybody that is not a vegan, basically, right?
Okay.
You have the majority of the world on this side, and then you have the small groups that are allowing them to enter studies on this side.
They're not
So
taking into account of all the processed and junk food, from what I
that's it.
see here.
All meat eaters that are not following low carb ketogenic diets or something like that are also eating tons of carbs along with the animal food, right? Because that's what they're told. And so here you have diabetes. Okay, look how low it is. That means that there is an association between meat eaters compared to vegans and vegetarians. But look how far from the line is. So it's a very even with the meat eaters that are on this side, the vast majority here, there's a weak association. Just give me a second. I just got to plug it in before it dies on me. 2 seconds, Margaret.
Okay.
So if you would have had that diabetes line completely on the opposite end to that degree, that would have been like, it's not looking good, But this is actually, for the meat eaters compared to the vegans, it's a very weak association. Like, where is it hitting about 0.5-ish? Oh no, it actually, dummy, it has it right here. Okay, so well below a very low risk. Okay, but when you adjust this diabetes with BMI, meaning they didn't choose, over BMI is how fat you are. Okay, so they took out the factor of fat. So now you're looking at similar BMI for the meat eaters and similar BMI for the vegetarians and vegans. What happens to the association? It returns to 1. It means that when you compare cardio metabolic disease like diabetes, when you compare it to similar weight groups in both the meat eaters and the vegetarians and vegans, there is zero association. If there's zero association, then if you don't even have an association when you correct for BMI, how are you going to get a cause? You can't really have a cause if there's not even an association. Cancers. Okay, all cancers. Okay, right here.
So if I go vegan, I won't have cancer. That's a lot of baloney.
No, exactly. Okay.
Fractures.
Again, let's just make sure that we're not forgetting how to read this. No. Where is that? It's up here, right?
But I
Where's the
saw for fractures that the vegans have more.
Yeah,
Because they're
okay,
not getting their
so
calcium.
here, okay, now it's 1.5, 1.4. Okay, look at the hip fracture,
Almost a 3.
2.64, right?
Yeah.
And even when you adjust for BMI, still there.
Yeah.
Why? Well, okay, calcium, it's
Right.
often calcium oxalate. It's a calcium that's not easily absorbed. Also, D3 plays an effect with calcium, and D3 is very poor in plant food. No, D3 doesn't exist in plant foods. It's D2 that the body doesn't use as easily. And remember vitamin K2? Remember the K1 is found in plants and it's for coagulation. And vitamin
Yeah.
K2 is found in a large variety of animal foods. But K2, the only way you can get it in plants is from a natto or natto, which is fermented soy. And JD went one step further and said, yes, but within K2, there's MK4 and MK7. And he said that I think the MK4, there's one. Anyways, he's saying the actual K2 that is beneficial is not existent even in the fermented soy.
Okay.
So this is a strong association. It's far from the line. I thought there was more than that. Diverticulitis disease, cataracts, and stuff like that. Okay.
Oh, that'd be me.
So
Okay.
strong association between diverticulitis disease. Okay, so what are the meat eaters eating? Well, they're eating tons of seed oils. See, these
Right.
guys, they're fat phobic, the vegans and stuff. So they're gonna have probably high-ish omega-6 for sure from the plants, but they're not eating fatty, high fatty vegetables. You know, they're eating their plants and they're cooking with water. They are not frying. They're not using the seed oils. But all this group here, they're being told, suck down the seed oils, guys. Make sure to have margarine. Stay away from that butter. So all of these people here have ruined guts. Okay, and cataracts, I don't know. Can't explain that one. So
Diverticulosis. What is that?
it's a digestive issue.
Oh, with the intestines?
Yeah, there's diverticula. I think it's like the mountains inside of the intestines. Here, let's actually look it up.
Because my friend has that, and then they put him on some kind of medication. Now he has kidney cancer.
The diverticula are small bowel. Yeah, that's my best way of saying it's the mountains in your intestines. I meant bulging pouches. Okay.
Yeah.
See
With
these?
pocket.
And itis is always means inflammation in medical terms. That's why you have appendicitis. You have anytime the bronchitis. Itis just means inflammation. But then there's weird stuff like removal of fiber.
Oh, yeah. One of my clients was okay. She'd eat her meat and fish, but she was bigger on her veggies and beans.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to keep her figure.
Yeah.
Anyway, she was taking that Metamucil.
Yeah.
And she messed up her intestines. She had no more mucus left on the lining.
No, because it's sucked all. Look, like fiber is frigging. It's like wood chips, basically. I mean, it's like you eating, roughage. Think of it this way: like, if you're eating meat, I know they like to say that like meat You'll have a 5-year-old sausage if you do a colonoscopy stuck in there, but meat is easily digestible. There's nothing in the steak that you're eating that there's not one aspect of that steak that your body doesn't use for building. There's everything in there. We're
Right.
flesh. We're eating flesh. Like the Bible says, plants have a certain flesh, different animals, angels have a different flesh. It's like, you're not a plant. So you're eating flesh that is far from the flesh that it has to create for you. So animal flesh, easily absorbed. What about absorption? Fat helps to absorb. So tell me, if
And
you have fat
there's
in
a fat
your intestine,
muscle. Your
like, do you
brain
think,
is a fat muscle, and
say
you
that again?
need fat for the brain.
What was that?
Your brain is a fat muscle, and you need fat for the brain.
Yeah, and you need fat for absorption. So you need to consume fat to absorb any of the fat soluble vitamins through your intestine. And it seems to me that cottonseed and stuff like that, those oils used to be industrial lubricants. So why would
Right.
stuff why wouldn't stuff slide along if you're consuming fat? It's like a lubricant. It's like, I don't see how things will get stuck at all.
Yeah.
So anyways, so we're not going to go through all of this study and stuff like that, but it's just to show, like, take these studies with a grain of salt. I'm being honest about it. I don't find that vegans are honest, about this situation.
But
It
when
feels
you
like
look at
dishonest.
like on the news, what is it, ET, Entertainment Tonight, whatever, you hear of these movie stars that just died because they had breast cancer, but they were vegan.
Yeah. No, not to mention is, like, what is long term? Okay, like, I think that the body is very resilient, and that sometimes nutritional deficiencies might occur rapidly and sometimes not. It's not that beta carotene doesn't create any vitamin A, it's just very poor. Somebody who is 5% converter of beta carotene probably is that guy that feels like crap after like 2 years into the vegan diet. They're dying. Then after you have the omegas, like, there's just so many things, and maybe some people just genetically they can get away with it for a longer time. But I've seen vegans, the majority of them, the longest that they last, they tend to last like 8 years, and who knows if they're cheating.
Well, that's another thing. My old landlord, a vegan,
Yeah.
and we were just coming back from somewhere with my husband, and he wanted to go into McDonald's. He said he was starving. And guess who's in there, munching on a double Mac or whatever you call it? My landlord was a vegan. And then my husband said, "No, we should go over and say hello." And I said, no. Remember, he's vegan. He doesn't eat meat. We'll pretend that we didn't see him.
It's hilarious. I mean, we could, and like, look at how frail these people are. Okay, it's like, yes, you're not going to get cardiovascular disease, okay, if you're emaciated. Yeah, it's not going to hit your heart that way. But these people stroke out. They have higher stroke rates, higher stroke and hemorrhagic stroke rates. And it sucks because I had that popped up and I ended up like bringing it down.
But their body is eating their body too. That's why they're so skinny, right?
They're avoiding dietary cholesterol. They're not absorbing probably very well the B12, right? So there's two aspects. So no DHA and EPA present. Those fats highly high in your brain. Cholesterol, they're not consuming it. So B12, cholesterol, just that, and yeah, there's a reason. So it's like, yay, I survived. I went vegan and I didn't die of a heart attack. Great. Okay. Like, so now you're going to stroke out? Like how is that any better? You know, it's just ridiculous.
Back to my husband,
Yeah.
I'd come home from work and make a full course meal.
Hmm.
He doesn't want to eat because at the OTB he had a hamburger and a bag of chips, or the family pack of chips.
Yeah.
He would consume that in a day with 2 liters, 2 double liters of Pepsi.
Holy crap. Okay, that is a lie.
So like he ended up with high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, and I told him you're eating junk all the time.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Then when he went to the doctor told me you shouldn't eat this. It's all salt and carbs and sugar.
Hmm.
And he said, yeah, but I like my Pepsi. And then the doctor told him, we'll have Diet Pepsi then. And I looked at the doctor like, don't say that.
And
Because of
on top of it, yeah, okay, fine. If I had a choice between diet or just full blown cola, fine, okay, yeah, it's the lesser evil, baby. But in his state, if you're drinking just as heavily the diet cola, it's still
yeah.
spiking your insulin. So you're still just as insulin resistant. You won't lose weight, even if you remove like all of that Pepsi and stuff like that. I remember my mom when I was young, when Diet Pepsi was the big thing, she used to buy cases. She was drinking that like water too, because it was zero sugar, you know. So they thought you could drink it like water. I had one colleague said, you're diabetic, eh? I said, you're drinking this Diet Coke or whatever. I said, but I explained that it still spikes the insulin. Spikes the insulin? It's like, good. If it spikes the insulin, it'll keep my sugar low. This is a medical professional that thinks that his whole issue is that his sugar is too high, when no, the whole issue is you're insulin resistant. That's a symptom, you know. It's like, yeah, it'll kill you. Well, it'll kill you. It could, you're unconscious. Like, that's what happens if somebody is diabetic and they're not taking their insulin or whatever. Their sugar, you start acting confused, then you act drunk, and then you're completely unconscious with very high blood sugars. There's people that have gotten their butt kicked by cops because they were diabetic and their sugar was so high that they were acting drunk behind the wheel and stuff like that. And they got roughed up and stuff like that because they were assumed that they're just drunk. So,
but you could smell it on their body perspiration. It's like acetone smell to me, like nail polish remover.
yeah, no,
You
it's
could
crazy.
smell it on them.
Yeah.
But he ended up having a stroke in 2005 from the crown of his head to his eyebrow, which damaged his frontal lobe, and then his personality changed. And then after that, it was colon rectal cancer. If you put your two hands together and make a fist, that's how big his tumor was.
Like that. Wow.
Yeah, like cross your fingers over. Yep.
So, like, he passed away?
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
2011.
Okay. Yeah, there's a sad story about there's two people there's a person that works, and it's extremely heavy, like very heavy, and her husband was in his 40s, and he had a stroke. He was very big, like just huge, and then after he had another stroke, and I had never seen him, and I saw him in the emergency room, and I kind of looked and I said, geez, I said, this guy had a stroke last year. He just had another one. I said, this guy is not going to live. He's not going to live long. And he went to the Neurological Institute and went into cardiac arrest. Maybe had a heart attack. I don't know. And ended up dying in his 40s.
Wow.
I'm sure he was diabetic, probably too.
And then my sister,
Really sad.
5 foot, 327 pounds. And she did all these diets.
Yes, I know. That's what's sad.
Yeah.
Because people look at those people and they go, look at these fat slobs. Look at these undisciplined people, can't get their act together, lazy thugs, slugs. And it's like me, it's like, no, I know these people a lot, and there's some of them, yes, they deserve it, but there's tons of people that I'm not saying these people that are literally they can't walk, but I'm talking about the typical quite heavy people that constantly trying, weight watchers, and then this and all sorts of diets, and managing to lose a little weight and within 1 year, at best, right back off of it, weight skyrockets back up. They had the Biggest Loser, the show, where it was
Yeah.
a severe calorie restriction with a lot of activity. So the typical eat less, move more paradigm that they're still toting, and all of them, there was never a reunion, like a 1 year reunion of season 1 or 2. All of them put on weight back,
Well,
and
there was on PBS. It
there,
was Where Are They Today? And one of the guys is almost as big as when he went in.
yeah.
And
But the
he
point
blamed
is,
it that he got a
their
new job and
metabolism
he's working in an office.
their damn metabolism was shot. They measured their metabolism, so it really doesn't work, you know. And it's like again, like I'm keep on kind of repeat it when I do these videos. The ketogenic diet is not gorging yourself on all sorts of saturated fat and stuff like that.
Right.
It's not. It's like that's the only reason why I started doing videos called carnivore and stuff, because people were so confused by what I thought was a quite simple statement. Don't eat carbohydrates and then eat everything else. And people were still like didn't understand. So then at one point I was like, you know what, just eat animal food. Just just do a carnivore diet, and then after but I never suggest it, definitely now about like the vitamin C. It's like, no, like I'm not comfortable. I've done straight carnivore months at a time, never had issues. That's with me. I'd rather err on the safe side, and as far as the carnivore, and say, like if you do want to do this diet, then I still suggest that, especially if maybe if you're eating liver, but it's like I don't understand why these people have to like be like, no, I'm a carnivore, and it's like it becomes like a like I want to get away with eating zero, like some don't even put pepper or anything like that. So I find that that's extreme. I'm like, seriously, if you're gonna add like a little bit of fruit here and there, that's what gonna kill you? Of course not. So why would
Right.
you take a chance trying to skimp on the vitamin C, especially if you can't eat liver? If you can eat fresh, fine, liver and stuff like that. But even then, it's like, yeah, okay, so you're getting enough vitamin C to stave off scurvy, and I really could care less about the antioxidant effects of. I don't buy into the antioxidants from plants being that much beneficial. It's like just your body has antioxidants because we use oxygen. Just stay away from the processed foods, stay away from the seed oils, and you won't be filled with these oxygen oxidative stress, and you can easily just neutralize. I don't see that there's any benefit in the studies. They're inconclusive. I'm even skeptical a little bit about probiotics that we buy
Mhm.
in pharmacies and stuff. I'm skeptical that it doesn't get destroyed uh, going directly through the stomach. I don't know about that, but it's not conclusive that it might be a big gimmick that isn't that much beneficial.
I had asked my doctor about these vitamins and supplements, and he says if you're eating properly, you don't need it.
I agree.
He says there's only enough in there so that you don't get scurvy.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. So yeah, and I evolved, and stuff like that. Like I keep on researching. I'm open minded. JD. I know my stuff, but I know that JD knows more. So
Yeah.
that's why I hang around with people that I can learn stuff with. I've
No,
always,
I
I've
gotta
said it
tell you
multiple
something
times.
too.
I'm like, I don't have secret knowledge when it comes to any of the nutrition, when it comes to any of my religious videos and stuff. I've learned all of this, and I'm just sharing what I've learned. And I might be wrong on stuff, and if I'm wrong, I'll change my point of view and stuff like that. But definitely a ketogenic diet that incorporates animal food, and you eat vegetables, and you have I mean, broccoli and stuff like that. Like, you don't need citrus fruits to get vitamin C. There's tons of vitamin C in just vegetables too, you know. So it's like, yeah, have vegetables. And then the reason I call it keto carnivore is that I I know that I don't have to eat this every single day. Gotta get my veggies. Gotta get my. You can go long time, days, sometimes, you know, a couple of weeks without necessarily eating any plant foods, and then, oh, you know. So I'm kind of deciding, like, no, mix it up a bit. You know, it's like, yeah, you're on a ketogenic diet. You know, like every 2 weeks, you know, have a decent carb meal if you want. I'm fine with that. If you're exercising like Josiah, dude, like, you're ripped. I can see your abs. You see, like, you know, all the little muscle that you're developing. Wow, great. Okay, well, you know what? Don't skimp on the carbs if you're weight training. Like, they can be beneficial. So I think it's a reasonable approach. And yeah, I will push a ketogenic diet on people who are fat, and they say that they've tried. Then it's like, okay, well, you've tried the way. Okay, look, just try this way. And it's like, here's the study. At least for 1 year, everything, all the markers improve. So if you're skeptical about long durations, like being on it a couple of years, then don't be on it. You know, sure, fine, don't be on it. You know, and I always tell people, look, lose the weight, and then start sneaking in 10 grams slowly at a time, not 10 grams and then it's been 2 days and it's good. It's like, no, 10 grams.
Oh,
And
but I did
after,
this
you know,
once.
waited a couple of weeks, wait 2 weeks, depends how in a hurry, and then keep on adding it up, and eventually, you know, you'll catch where you're starting to put a little fluff on. Then, you know, drop that by 10 or 20, and find specifically for your muscle, you know, the amount of muscle that you have, the amount of activity that you tend to do on average, and then adjust it. What, you're going to start, you know, going to the gym? Yeah, well, you're not going to use the same amount of carbs as being sedentary, you know, sedentary and stuff like that.
I
Yeah,
had
we'll put
done
on.
that one, and then I went and I had some lasagna, and I gained 4 pounds from the lasagna meal.
Yeah, well, see, that isn't fat, right? That is your glycogen being refilled. So that's water, because don't forget, if let's say you're low carbing and you're keto and your glycogens are running in the middle, they're not fully topped up. I don't think they'll ever be fully topped up on a ketogenic diet. So glucose, when it's stored in as glycogen, it's glucose and water. So you're retaining water, and water's heavy. That's why, like, people first week will lose 5 pounds. If you're a muscular guy like these hockey players, they could lose 20 pounds by the end of the day. And then after they carb up and they put the 20 pounds, those are because they have a large body muscle mass. Me, I've been sedentary since I had my spine surgery, so I lost tons of muscle, and I'm not fit. I'm like out of shape. Like, you can be like lean but not in shape. You know, so my body composition is not very good because I'm sitting on my butt. So I want to start, you know, doing that soon. Won't be long. You know what?
What
I'm gonna get.
happened to your back, if I may ask?
Um, it's spinal stenosis. So everyone gets a bit of spinal stenosis as they age. And it's basically, you know, you have your vertebrae, and then inside you have the spine, right? That's inside.
Right.
Well, there's space there. So if you have a lot of space, that's fine. It's hard to find the angle, but as the space for that spine gets smaller and smaller through calcification and stuff like that, then you'll start getting pinched nerves and stuff like that. So I think also, when I was young, I've done 20 years of lifting obese patients up in their freaking beds, you know, in the
Oh,
hospital beds.
yeah,
They're always sliding down. You know, you're supposed to do like a proper like move this way. You know, you're just like using your arms, you're flinging them up when you're young. And also lots of like bend over charting, a lot of airway management where you're actually looking down like this for a long time. And also, I think cell phones. I think lots of people are going to be having a cervical stenosis in their spine from just chronically being like that. And I was like, at one point, addicted to a stupid app game. And like, I mean, sometimes my neck would be like this, and I'd be like still trying to friggin' play. It was ridiculous. So, yeah, no, I'm serious. So I had to get a laminectomy, which is basically they took a vertebrae, just the right side of it off. Sometimes they'll take a whole vertebrae out, and then they'll fuse it with like 2 bars. For me, they didn't have to take the whole vertebrae out. And that's actually exactly what my mom has too. So maybe there is like a
Genetic.
yeah, like arthritis and things like that. So my mom had it on her lower back, but she also has it exactly where me. So she'll have to have probably another spine surgery down the road sooner than later and stuff like that. But she's recovering well. She's obviously I think she's pretty stoned. She like called at 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, she's been in the hospital for 4 days or something. So she probably doesn't even see the light. She doesn't know if it's day. She doesn't know if it's night. She's taking narcotics. She's sleeping. She probably doesn't realize she slept 12 hours. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
you know, and he's like, yeah, I know. My dad says, yeah, I know. She called me at 2 a.m. chatting. And then she called me back at 6 a.m. So I was like, well, I'm glad that
Yeah, you lose time in the hospital.
yeah. She's like, I love it here. I feel great. I'm like, it's like, sure, okay, Mom. I'm glad you're having a good time now. That's hilarious.
Wow. And then when COVID first started, I met a girl, and she was a doctor without borders.
Yeah.
And she said she's on her way home because she's not getting the jab. She said, no way, they didn't test it. I'm not getting it.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, if you're O-type with no gallbladder, you have a better chance of surviving. Because she says what they found out was that virus has a fat around it.
Okay.
And you poop it out better if you have no gallbladder.
Yeah, because you're not dissolving the fat as easily because you don't have the bile that's like splashing on the meal. It's just trickling.
And then she had said something for fruits and vegetables, anything from yellow to red.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, don't forget your vitamin K. Now you guys are talking about vitamin K. That's your meat.
Yeah. Yeah.
There we go.
It's just like in the hospital, we give vitamin K when patients are bleeding and stuff because vitamin K1 is what we're injecting, and that has to do with coagulation. Vitamin K2, among other, there's multiple things, but a big one is that the calcium that you have ingested, for it to go in the appropriate location, you need K2 as a signaler. Then JD mentions that there's MK4 and MK7, and there's one that you get in that fermented soybean. I forget it's 7 or 4, but one of them is useless. One of them isn't used for that. At the moment, they don't really know what it's for. So, I mean, Weston A. Price, what did he call? He called it some kind of fat activator. He had a specific name. When Weston A. Price found out about this, I don't even think it was called vitamin K at that time. It hasn't been that long that we even know about vitamin K. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Listen, it's 8:46. I'm gonna let you go because I do have to do something with my kids, and people are already down to 3. So,
Okay.
call it a night. And
Well, nice chatting with you.
Yeah. And I'll definitely let you on like usual next time too. And anybody else that is a regular, that's a
Like a
verified
chicken.
member. Yeah. There's definitely one video that was sent to JD by Jeffrey Phillips, the guy that he's going to debate.
Yeah.
And let's just say it's a good conversation piece, about 37
When's
minutes.
Valentine's?
Eh?
Is that on Valentine's?
Why? When is Valentine's?
The 14th?
No, I think it's 11th. Is it possible next Saturday's 11th?
Okay.
Yeah, it was supposed to be tomorrow, but maybe, like they have to decide, the format and agree on what the premise and stuff like that. So, yeah, you heard about JD and the vegan debate and stuff like that there. I
Yeah.
think I did like
Yeah.
3 videos about it, kind of. So, it was supposed to be tomorrow, but it's not going to be a vegan debate on every issue. What we'd like to do, assuming it's not a horror show and becomes like just
A
just
circus.
triggered like yelling at each other. I don't know, but if it goes well, then it'll be a series of debates between JD and Jeffrey Phillips. And the thing is like we'll do, let's say one. I think this one will be focused. What's he wants to focus on? This one, geez, I'm drawing a blank. I think it might be about the environment, the destructive nature, comparing it, or it actually might be about the premise that veganism is compassionate and that no animals are taken advantage of or die. When JD keeps on saying, look, there's crop death, there's they actively shoot them, they put poisons out. Other wild animals eat those that are infected, they die, they bleed to death. The harvesters and so, like all of these things and stuff like that.
Okay. So
So
tomorrow.
I think that no, it'll be Saturday. It was supposed to be tomorrow.
Okay.
Um,
Next
I asked JD, I was like, so what about tomorrow? And he's like, actually, I think it's Saturday the 11th. Things can still change. I'll keep you guys updated. It's going to be on a channel, I guess, that actually hosts debates. So they moderate for people. So that's better because that's more of a non-biased, approach than having it, either me doing it where I could be technically biased on JD's side or vice versa. Hopefully they'll be able to put up share screens because I told JD, I said it's a lot more effective if you're debating and you at least show where you're getting the idea. Obviously, the vegan will say that's crap. It's not a good quality, or I don't believe that, whatever. But it doesn't really matter. Like you're there for the people that are watching. Are you convincing them? That's what's most important. Obviously, if you go in that you're going to discredit the vegan, it's like they're never going to acknowledge it. It's the viewers that have to decide. So, all right, that's
Okay.
it. So, have a good one. Thanks for
Take
joining.
care. Stay warm.
Yeah, stay warm. Definitely. See you, Margaret. All
Okay.
right.
Night
Bye.
night. Bye bye.
Yeah. All right, guys. That's it. Have a good one. God bless.